everyone, welcome once again to Era Discussions. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm STeve Baxi.
Steve, today we're talking about Nanda Parbat. First of all, I was not expecting to see Ra's al Ghul again this early.
Yeah, that was weird. It was great that we even opened up the episode with him, and I'm starting to come around a little bit on the actor. It's cool that we got to see some dialogue with him, some nice, at the very least, nice acted lines. And it's great that we're still keeping him really vague and really in the shadows. We still don't know what he's all about, but he's still written very consistently like Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and just get straight into it, shall we? There's a lot to cover in this particular episode, and I want to get right into it. So I'm going to put, we've been going over time lately, I'm going to put 25 minutes on the clock just to give ourselves a little bit more of a liberal playing field. All right, so Steve, are we still in not making sense land? How do you feel about this one?
So this episode has 3 phases for me. The first third of it is, I think, really, really good in that it's moving extremely fast.
Yeah.
And we get a lot done, and we go to a lot of interesting directions. And then all of that gets cut off the moment Oliver is like, I need to save Malcolm Merlyn for Thea's soul. And then it just goes insane and loses me, and minute to minute I just don't understand it. And I'll get into the details of that in just a sec. And then we get to the last third, which is kicked off when Oliver and Diggle are locked up in Nanda Parbat, and they get that realization that Oliver is doing all of this for his ego. And then for the last third of it, it's just really confusing because it's built up this really weird hierarchy of motives, and I don't know what suppresses what, and I don't understand what's going where. Firstly, the whole thing with Oliver. Oliver, I don't understand at all. Okay, if he's doing this because he's got an ego, I think that's interesting. I think that's legitimately interesting. But here's my question: what were they going to do with Malcolm Merlyn after they killed Ra's al Ghul? What was their plan? If he can't just let Ra's al Ghul take him now, what were they going to do? Just let him go? And even if it's his ego thing, there's no reason he needs to save Malcolm, because Ra's was still going to come after him anyway for surviving the challenge he challenged to him in the first place. The Ra's al Ghul threat was not going to end if Malcolm was captured and killed. There's no reason that selfish motive should justify him trying to rescue Malcolm. It doesn't altogether add up in that way. And the whole argument of trying to save Thea's soul just doesn't work. It's really campy. It's really crazy. There's no reason anyone in the show should be batting an eyelash at the fact that Malcolm's gone and he's going to pay for Sarah's murder because that's what he caused. And that way it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I know we talked a little bit about maybe Malcolm is written consistently and everyone else just forgot that what his motives were. I don't think that's true anymore. Malcolm is really clearly afraid of death, but this is completely contradictory to him being in season 1, his whole philosophy of he understands what he's fighting for, and therefore death doesn't matter. Whether the undertaking works or not, whether he dies or not, whether the League comes after him or not, it doesn't matter because he had a goal and he fulfilled it.
Yeah.
He should not be this scared of Ra's al Ghul. The scene where he's almost begging for his life, I don't see that in his character. I just didn't like it. I love that Ra's says you should at least try to die with dignity.
He's a complete coward now? Really? I mean, I thought... And there's a lot of this with different characters in this episode, Laurel especially. I thought that the show was trying to make the viewers, appreciate... what he's doing for his family and Thea and stuff to a degree where now he's kind of not justified, but we're supposed to find him a sympathetic antagonist and appreciate what he did to a certain degree. And this whole he cares about Thea and wouldn't just hand her over thing. I don't know why Oliver would make that assumption, considering that he used her to kill Ra's in the first place. And it seems like there are 50 other ways he could have gone about that. And so now that he's just straight up a coward, it seems like this is exactly the guy who would just go, I'm so scared of dying, I would even serve up my daughter on a platter. If he had done that in that scene, at that point I would have bought it. Where it's just Oliver is wrong. Oliver has been allowing himself to trust Malcolm this whole time, apparently just because he can't stand the idea that he lost to Roz. And I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't have a grasp on his character anymore anyway, so I can't allow myself to think about it to the degree that you just did. I'm just I'm having such a hard time with that. but I'm like, wouldn't it have been interesting if it was, no, Oliver, look, you're just completely wrong about Malcolm. There's nothing there. He's just a terrible person.
And he's picking and choosing logic when it comes to Malcolm. Malcolm's there so Oliver can prepare to kill Ra's al Ghul. Malcolm gives him a suggestion about staying in the Arrow Cave to be protected, and Oliver's like, nah, I don't agree with that. I'm just going to go out and live wherever I want to. And then I don't understand where Oliver gets the realization that he loves Thea. Where does that come from? If he knew that, he wouldn't have challenged Ra's al Ghul in the first place.
Wait, I'm sorry, because you've lost me because this season is making my mind numb. Why? Okay,
so Malcolm shows up in the climb and says, I need you to kill Ra's al Ghul. Oliver's like, why would I do that? Because I made Sarah, I made Thea kill Sarah.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'll show her this video and she's dead too.
Oh, good call. Yeah. It's like, where is he suddenly getting off on? Oh no, he loves his daughter. He would never serve her up. Yep.
Yeah. And still, to a certain extent, I wonder, why doesn't Oliver just tell Ra's al Ghul, Malcolm used a hypnotic drug and made Thea kill Sarah. She's completely remorseful. It wasn't her fault in the least bit. No matter how far gone Ra's is or how much conviction he has in his philosophy, there's no justification whatsoever to kill Thea. And Oliver seems to know that in some places and not in other places. It's really strange, and I don't understand where he learns these things and where he makes these assumptions about all these people he's barely had contact with or understands anymore.
Roz, this is one of the big things. I guess we're not even making this the general opening statement thing. We're just talking about this now. But let me say this real quick. I have never understood the whole business about Roz will kill Thea because she was the one who technically was holding the bow, and he cares nothing about Sarah. Those two things don't fit together to me. I get that they have a code. I understand all of that, but I feel like all of Malcolm's, besides the fact that Malcolm's whole plan was really convoluted in the first place, and I feel like there's 50 other smarter, easier, less drag of the season ways he could have gone about it. And he's got to know that he would have had a better chance up against Roz than Oliver did in the first place. So his whole plan was completely pointless. But also, I just don't get why. I just feel like his whole plot was, as you said, hinging on a series of assumptions that I don't see how he could make. Somebody in the comments a couple weeks ago said that Roz seems a lot more reasonable than anybody's giving him credit for. And and I just feel like if Oliver were to go to Roz, and of course he's not because he doesn't trust Roz, and okay, fine, but like if he went to Roz and just said, hey, Thea did it, Malcolm did it on purpose, you remember how you want to kill Malcolm anyway? Why don't you go after Malcolm? I don't think he would be taking much of a risk there.
No, and I mean, clearly Roz is the only guy who's thinking a couple steps ahead, and it makes sense. In the opening scene, Nissa's all like, you're not going after him because you never approved of me loving Sarah. And it's like, no, it's not that at all. It's that I understood who she was and who you are, and that it wasn't going to work out. Clearly, he's the only guy that's using his head in this situation, and everyone's just assuming he's this really, really big dictator tyrant guy that's going to kill everyone out of left field. And I wonder how much of that's on purpose, and they're just doing a really bad job of playing that up. Because when we get to the ending and we could get completely blindsided by Roz offering Oliver to take his place, it's kind of a Batman thing to do, and it seems like Roz is still being written consistently. It's just trying to force us to that cliffhanger led to some really bad stories and some really inconsistent character moments. It was all about that reveal by the end of it.
In ongoing serialized stories, one of the single most annoying things to me is when you have a story where everybody is completely random and doesn't have the consistent characterization, but there's that one guy that they know exactly how to write. And I feel like we kind of have that right now with Roz, and what's annoying is because you want to watch it for the characters that do make sense, and it would be so easy to write it off if just nothing was working. And that's what's so annoying. This show, it's worse because the first season and a half were solid, and you keep wanting it to get back to that, because I used to be in love with this show. We keep saying that, and so to have all these characters that just I don't understand who they are right now. I have no idea what I'm looking at. But then Roz kind of makes sense. We need to go to the ending. Let's go ahead and just do that real quick. Do you buy Roz saying, "I want you to be the next Ra's al Ghul"? Where does that come from?
Okay, I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah.
Just in my gut, I feel like it makes sense, and I'm trying to add up the evidence in my head. Okay, clearly, Ra's al Ghul knows everything that happened with the undertaking and everything Oliver's been doing in the city, because he's been tracking Malcolm the whole time. So clearly, he would have to have tabs on Oliver, since Oliver's the guy that that kind of killed him, at least to the best of his knowledge. He was impressed with Oliver from the moment he first saw him, about like, you're this young, you got all these scars, you got a little bit of upper hand. He's proud of how far Oliver got in that fight. He clearly compliments him on at least his conviction. I can see an argument being made from Roz's side that Oliver is worthy, but you need to follow up next episode. You've got it. I just need to train you for a couple years, or something like that.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah, totally not. It feels very Batman-y. It feels very much like, and I love Ra's al Ghul in the comics when he does this, like, I want Bruce Wayne to take my place. It feels very much like that. I think it can work. It's just they haven't had a track record of making things like that work, because it would involve time and being reasonable.
Yeah, and once again, early on, we used to have a better grasp of that, where like it took time for things to happen, and for people to develop skills and things. But we don't have that anymore. Give me a best moment and worst moment, Steve.
I've actually got a couple best moments. The first one is I really do like Diggle and Oliver's conversation when they're captured by Roz. So although they had a pretty good exchange, I thought in context it doesn't necessarily work. But the idea that Diggle's presenting of just being a vigilante is enough to present your ego, and that's what this is all about. I think that's cool. The other thing is, the thing I mentioned earlier about the one thing Arrow's doing in other shows is that Lila is amazing. She's absolutely understanding and kind and gets what's going on, and she's not holding anything against Diggle whatsoever. Although it does lead to a bad moment. Diggle's all like, children change your worldview. Clearly they don't. He had a kid, and he's still the exact same person he was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, and isn't that weird too? Because that was working at the beginning of the season. The way they played that at first, where he tried to get out, and Lila, if memory serves, Lila sort of kind of gave him permission to stay in and stuff, and kind of he didn't really have a place without being there. It's been a while since we watched those episodes, so I don't remember exactly how it played, but I remember liking it a lot. Worst moment.
Worst moment is easily the Felicity and Palmer stuff. I hated that. I thought it was all just out of nowhere. I didn't like it. Ray Palmer is Iron Man.
Yep.
That's all he is now. The whole ending thing is Iron Man, and it doesn't work. He's got nothing beyond that, and there's this really annoying disconnect between I'm completely consumed by the revenge motivation behind my wife's death, and I constantly need to flirt with you to get anything done. And I don't see where those gaps get bridged whatsoever, aside from just standard TV drama of every hero needs a love interest.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I can take the show seriously on the level that I used to, and it's because of stuff like that. The big thing that drove me, and yeah, where does that obsession come from exactly? Okay, his wife died, I get that, but that that seems flimsy. I'm just not with him. I'm not in his head. I don't understand where he's coming from, and more to the point, I don't understand why I'm supposed to be excited to see him become a superhero when he seems completely irresponsible and ready to just accidentally blow up everything. When he is in his office and Felicity conveniently walks in just before he does a thing that had a really good chance of destroying the entire building, and then he's still, maybe at the end of the scene, he's not going to go to bed when she tells him to. Oh, come on, right? It's all way too absurd, and I don't think works in the context of this show. That guy, I can't get any handle on him. I don't understand him any better than I understand Oliver this season, and actually I understand him a lot less.
Yeah, and the big difference is they've got a clean slate with Ray Palmer. They can build something from the ground up. They're just not doing it.
Yeah, but Did that whole I haven't slept in so long I almost blew up a building thing not drive you crazy?
Yes, it bugged me quite a bit. Early on, it was my worst moment until we got more stuff with them interacting, and it's just constantly that bad.
Well, sadly, I have a number of worst moments once again. I'm still just not liking where things are going. I don't feel like I have anything to grasp onto right now. It's completely plot driven, and the character motivations are decided completely at random, scene to scene. Still, we'll talk about Laurel here in a minute. She's still driving me insane. Back and forth. The show can't decide if I'm supposed to detest her or be in love with her. It has no idea. And anyway, best moments for me. The big one was Roy keeping track of the police officer's family and helping them. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, that was interesting. I still need to see where that goes because it verges on being creepy and obsessive, and I hope they acknowledge that.
I guess it potentially does. When compared to everything crazy people have been doing this season, I can kind of see it. There's the big theme going through this episode and through a lot of the season, of course, is how responsible are you for things that you caused indirectly, and or things that you were not really responsible for at all, but somebody used your body and everything in between. There's an attempt at exploring that idea of responsibility and all of that, and I don't think it's quite working, but things like that I think are kind of interesting. I like the idea that Roy still feels responsible for it, even though he recognizes that he didn't do it, that he wasn't actually the person who, he didn't do it on purpose, and like I don't know. I complain about stalker stuff sometimes. I don't know that this completely counts. I don't get the sense that he's constantly like parking in front of their house and watching them. I just get the sense that he knows where they live and he wants to show Thea that. That was the sense I got. And so he's giving them money and things somewhat to appease his own conscience. I like the idea that because I think this is true, that there's this almost like irrational part of your mind that feels like you have to do something because it was your hands that did it, even though you're not really responsible. I like that. It doesn't play out completely with the Thea thing, though. I don't buy the whole I'm going to sacrifice myself because it was my body that did it thing, just because she's been so incredibly selfish the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Steve, let me touch on this. Are we not playing it suddenly? Because there's a line about it with Nyssa, or someone, I forget. Are we not playing it like she's just been completely corrupted by Malcolm this season? Remember earlier in the season I said it would be so much more interesting if that's what was happening, but that did not seem to be what was happening at all, and now all of a sudden, retroactively, we're just being told that her mind was like totally corrupted and screwed up by Malcolm, and that's why she's done what she's done. I don't buy it. I mean, do you see her suddenly like becoming the person that we liked back in season 2 because she's like found the light or something? I don't see that.
No, part of the problem is setup, right? Like, just the last couple episodes, we talked about how much her motivations are about her needs and her autonomy and her selfishness. But we never get like a moment where that's growing, where that's changing. Part of the reason I don't really resonate with the Roy stuff is that we only get 2 token scenes, just 2 individual scenes all season where he's brooding about the fact that he killed a person, and now suddenly we get a conclusion to that with nothing in between. And the Thea stuff in a lot of ways is very much similar, where we get 2 token scenes of Thea being angry with Malcolm, and now she's completely on the other side of it. And there needed to be something in between. And this is one of those rare places where the show needs to take its time, as opposed to just rushing to conclusions that we know they planned in their heads, and they're just writing maps to get there without necessarily making them natural.
Well, I think we have too many characters, and the show can't decide who our protagonist is. I mean, that's a lot of it right now. Is like, isn't Oliver the main character? It seems like everybody sort of kind of has to have these big season-long arcs, but they're forgetting about them coming back to the Eric and I talked about that a lot last season, where there was a lot of we forgot about that thread, and then suddenly it shows back up again. There definitely has been some of that. You're absolutely right about characters suddenly flip-flopping their motivations, and Laurel has that in spades. A couple episodes ago, I thought I was supposed to suddenly be okay with her being, and it didn't work, but suddenly being Black Canary just because she's not trying to be Sarah anymore. It's coming from a different place. She's learned nothing, right? Like, now that she knows who's responsible, she's once again going after people with guns. Can we all agree? Maybe we can't. Can we all agree that Laurel is a murderer and she just got lucky that no one died? Can we just agree on that?
Yeah, I think that's an undisputable fact. No matter what people's opinion is of the show, that's what she is. She does things with the intent to kill people, and whether she realizes it or not, people manage to be saved. But if you just play those scenes out, she was going to kill people. She's tortured people in the hospital, she's fired guns, and she's thought she's killed people and been perfectly okay with it.
Yeah, and then here,
never address it.
She was going to go kill Malcolm. I don't understand Oliver's, and this is a thing that we get sometimes in comics too that drives me crazy. The Birds of Prey TV show did this. Ironically, not ironically. That's not the right way to use that word. But interestingly, coincidentally, with the same character, if memory serves, where we have a character who is wanting to kill someone, and that's the big thing that would take them over the edge, and they'd never get back from it. And there's a big problem with that because Oliver is supposed to now be like a hero, and we've gotten past his killing people thing, and the show has said basically that he's like he can be redeemed, and yet he's got this whole thing with Thea where it's like if you are even indirectly, well, not even indirectly, I guess it's somewhat indirectly, but if she is responsible for killing Malcolm, regardless of her not pulling the trigger or shooting an arrow herself, then there will be like some kind of mystical piece of her soul that's gone now. But he's not worried about that with Laurel.
No, he's not worried about that with Laurel, and maybe this is
only because she didn't actually kill
all those assassins in Nanda Parbat. Wasn't he shooting them in the face and in the neck and stuff?
I don't know. I didn't really notice that, but I have a hard time using action scenes as evidence for anything sometimes, because I don't remember exactly what. But yeah, that's I don't know. That's a good point. Okay, let's here in a second we'll go to some comments. I don't think I actually gave you my worst moment. Besides the whole he's gonna blow up a building thing. No, that is it. I hate that. The whole Palmer with the shirt off thing I could have totally done without, of course. But
yeah.
This is minor, but I don't like the way Roz pronounces beloved. just want to throw that out there. That's the one thing that he did, that actor did, where I was like, I don't know, that's not ceremonial enough for Ra's al Ghul, and that's probably somewhat of just I'm used to him saying beloved thing, but really, like beloved is the noun, and beloved is the adverb, right, or the adjective, right? But I don't know. It can work as I'm just saying. I don't like that he said beloved. That was silly.
Okay. I don't have anything to say about that.
Oh, you don't? Okay, that doesn't bother you? It's just me. All right, that's cool. Whatever.
No, now that you say it, I guess it makes sense. Now I kind of want to go back and watch the scene real quick.
He did. He said beloved, and I thought it was funny. Anyway, real quick. Any quotes?
I got two really quick. I like what Diggs says to Oliver when they get to the gates in the end of our bot, and he says, "I don't want to go down like Butch and Sundance. So what's the plan?" And Oliver just says, "Shoot straighter than they do." And I also really like the Diggle line when they're in the jail cell. He says, "Every soldier on the battlefield has to believe he's coming home, or else he's paralyzed."
Yeah, but why are members of the League of Assassins as easy to take out as stormtroopers?
Inverse ninja law applies in spades when it comes to Arrow. One guy is amazing, but an army just fails on every level.
Yeah. And let's remember,
that was the way last season when they first showed up.
And let's remember, no reason to try to take Malcolm to jail because he'll get out.
Exactly.
I like Merlin's. You've been training to bring a bow and arrow to a sword fight.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was good. I liked Oliver in the flashbacks. I hate boats. I hate boats.
More flashbacks I didn't care about, by the way.
Yeah, me too. And I think Nissa maybe had one of the best lines of the season when she said, "Your every action has been aimed toward the frustration of justice." That's a good. That's a good one. That's pretty good stuff.
That's interesting, and I do also like the moment where Nissa just flat out says, "Vengeance is justice," and it makes me see why Malcolm says Nissa would never be Ra's al Ghul's heir, and why Ra's is very skeptical of her choices, and why there's a frustration between them that's not necessarily played out explicitly. Because clearly Nanda doesn't see the world the way Roz does.
Yeah. Okay, I want to look at some comments and questions here. Any other scenes you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about yet? There's a lot of stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah, it's fairly dense. They actually do get quite a bit done in one episode, so I think that's... Does he met someone in 1854? Is the one other thing I want to mention. Lazarus Pit.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that about 84? I didn't hear that part.
Oh, when he first sees Malcolm again, he says, "I once knew a magician in 1884."
Right.
1874, something like that.
Well, what I wondered...
1854, there we go.
Yeah, what I wondered, since we have that confirmation that he is... And I think there's there's at least one other thing where we have a sense that he's actually that old. I wondered if the opening when he's sitting in that pool wasn't the actual Lazarus Pit, or if it was supposed to just kind of evoke it.
There's lots of speculation as to whether or not that is the Lazarus Pit, and I'm not putting it past the show to do something next episode and be like, Ra's al Ghul is just a title, and every Ra's talks as if he's lived for centuries.
Yeah, I actually don't think they're going to go that far. That's disappointing to me, because linking up the League of Assassins with the boat in season 2 and the Mirakuru thing made too much sense.
Yeah.
I still hate that they're not, and this isn't just that they're not doing what I wanted them to thing. I feel like that was building.
Yeah, I thought it would have worked a lot better that way. Having said that, though, I feel like they, if nothing else, just because we've only seen it so sparsely, they at least understand the League of Assassins and Ra's, from what we've seen. So even if they didn't build up to it, what we got is still serviceable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Mind the Gap says, I cannot agree with Laurel being a murderer because she didn't murder Oliver and Sarah are murderers. Yeah, but my point is she would be... she has the mindset, right? Like if you pull a trigger on purpose and you shot to kill, but the bullet didn't come out, and that doesn't, like, change your whole frame of reference where you go, oh wow, dodge that bullet. I shouldn't have said it like that, but dodge that bullet. I guess I've been given a second chance. Like, that's the only time that works, right? Where it's like, the universe threw me a bone. Thank God it didn't work out. Now I'm gonna change my ways. We haven't gotten that with Laurel. She's learned nothing. I guess what I'm complaining about is less she's a murderer and more we keep progressing her and then digressing her over and over again. We just bring her to a point and then bring her back.
It's inherently hypocritical too of everybody in the show.
That's exactly
it matters.
Yes.
Thea killed someone with her hands, but she wasn't in control of her intention, so she's not a killer. Laurel has complete control of her faculties, and she actively tries to kill people, but that's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny Torch with the whole Roy at the family's house thing. But Stalker has sinister inclinations. Most times it doesn't imply when used. This is another of those cases. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
I think I did see a couple comments about just the use of the word stalker. Maybe it's just a strong word to use in the case. I just think it's weird that...
I think it is too.
Roy's helping that family verges on obsession, and I just needed to play out more, and I needed some more background to when did he find these people? When did he become okay with this?
That's
where
fair.
Did this come from?
And a lot of that is just congestion of too many characters and trying to do things with all of them. But what's interesting about that is that I think that there's room for disagreement there, because I don't know that it necessarily is obsession. I can kind of see it. The way the scene was played, he seemed like he had kind of gotten over it to a degree, and he was, and because he does say it helps, and I can see why you're saying that might be an obsession thing, but at the same time, he just seemed like, I'm taking responsibility for something I feel responsible for. And showing, like, and trying to show Thea why he understands why she feels that way, but also that she shouldn't take it too far. I'm just saying that, like, I think we could actually have a debate about whether or not what he's doing is okay.
Yeah, and I think reading the scene the way it is, that's absolutely right. It's just, my problem is still, we needed to build to it. It had to come from somewhere. Roy's never been like this. There needs to be some kind of account of why he became this way, or why it's not an obsession. Because Roy's got an obsessive personality. Roy, from the first 2 seasons, has struggled with stuff like this all the time, and he never deals with it. We just get a conclusion to it. And I think that's still an issue.
We are way over time. Let's do 1 or 2 more. Peter Parker. It would have been so cool to see Oliver going crazy after a dip in the pit, and then maybe Roz could brainwash him to be a servant, and that could lead into season 4. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people probably wanted something like that, and I'm not saying that the problem isn't that they didn't go Lazarus Pit. Again, I thought that it was just incredibly unsatisfying and kind of lame, really, the way he survived all of that. And I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. For me, this is my bottom line right now. I'm having a really hard time, like, not just being, as I said earlier, totally numb to everything that's going on in this. I'm having a hard time keeping up with everything because it's not character motivated. I don't buy like Steve, when we open a show and you just start like going off about how things aren't working and character motivations and things, I'm like, I can't believe he's still able to think about this show on that level. I'm having a really tough time with it, is all I'm saying. I'm trying really hard, but honestly, at the end of the day, it all boils down to these are not real people doing things that make sense. We're making up stuff completely scene to scene. Let's roll a dice. Okay, we're gonna have Laurel this time. Somebody claims to have killed her sister. Be okay with it, you know? That's like. Again, I kind of liked that. I was glad that because I kind of expected her to run off in a huff or whatever. But my point is, when characters suddenly do things that are reasonable right now, it doesn't come any more from a character motivated place than when they do stuff that's unreasonable.
Yeah, the logic we're dealing with, and someone brought this up a couple episodes ago in the comments, is Oliver can be stabbed through the chest, wearing nothing but a pair of pants and shoes, and fall off a cliff and be alive. But Sarah gets stabbed with a couple of arrows and falls off a building covered in armor, and she's dead.
That's a good point. Yeah. Only because the show wants her to be dead to kickstart this whole, convoluted nonsense with Malcolm.
And whatever serves the story in the easiest fashion is what they'll do. It doesn't matter if it's consistent.
Except it's not the easiest fashion, because that's not how Malcolm should have handled that. Anyway. Okay, well, we're talking in circles now. Everybody, thanks as always for watching Arrow Discussions. We sure appreciate it. As we have this whole season, we're having a tough time taking it seriously. That's where I'm at right now. It's rough. Oh boy. Anyway, thanks to our live internet audience for talking with us and giving us your opinions and stuff. Sorry we didn't get to everything. There was quite a bit of stuff, and we're just way over time already. So anyway, thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
Thanks for watching.